Welcome to the Black Lion Podcast. We are your hosts, Lex and Dom, and today we have a special guest. Guest, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Christine. I am the Anointed Mouthpiece, and it is a true blessing and an honor to be able to be here and share a little bit more about what God is doing in me and through me right now.
That's true. Can you tell us about your business?
So I don't know if it's fair to call it a business. I'm going to call it a ministry, and I have to make that distinction because I don't think that it's fair to say that selling the word of God is what I'm in the business of doing. But I certainly am in position to motivate and encourage and inspire everyone to get to that place of living their passion, knowing that they're whole, that they're loved, that they're valuable. Um, Doing my best to inspire others by living my life authentically.
That's good. What made you want to embark on this journey? Embark on that journey?
How I've been impacted in my life as an individual. I've had a traumatic childhood. I've gone through abuse in various forms. And then as an adult, that was something that trickled into my adult life. And I feel like there are other people out there who can relate to the pain of traumatic experiences. It's a pain that has the potential to incapacitate someone. And as someone who felt stuck in my own life, um, and I went through a moment where it felt like I had hit rock bottom, where I felt as though I had been stripped of everything that I had tried to build for myself, everything that I thought I needed, and the things that I wanted, to a place where I was just living a minimal life, during which I only had the luxury of reading my Bible and staying close to God through prayer and worship and practicing meditation, exercising and taking care of myself. And in that space, it really was a liberating experience, a journey to be completely humbled and dependent and reliant upon nothing else but God's love for me. And he certainly has blessed me, and he continues to do so, to where that's not my situation any longer. But I really wouldn't be here talking to you right now in this moment if it weren't for God's love. And it's something that I'm passionate about sharing with everyone because, like I said, I feel like everyone needs that encouragement from time to time.
That's true. Through your recovering from your traumatic experience, have you like was your family very and friends and family very supportive to you?
I appreciate that question. Throughout the experience, and it's really been transformational over these last 3 years, I would say, for the most part. Over that time, honestly, my friends and my family have fallen away, to where this walk and this journey, it almost seems a bit isolating. I really feel as though when you go through dark times, when you go through trouble, you really see who's really for you and who's not. And unfortunately, in that process of me growing and developing over these last few years, a lot of my friends and family, or those who I thought were close to me and connected to me, unfortunately, they just weren't intended for this season of the journey. So I didn't have that support from those people who I thought were close to me as I would have desired or anticipated. But that really has been fuel to the fire that's strengthened me all the more, because I don't have the support from anyone else. It's something that I'm all the more determined to do for myself.
That's good. I know it could get like that sometimes with family and friends.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. You expect these people who you cultivate these relationships with, that they're going to be there with you through thick and thin. And then when it gets thin, it's like, yeah, there's just no one to the left or to the right. And that could break someone down, but not having my source of validation need to come from other people. It's really something that I've learned throughout this healing experience. It's not something that I always just knew.
That's understandable. What three specific goals do you have for yourself for this year?
This year, and I'm all about positive affirmations and speaking things into existence. I truly do believe that um, there's power in the tongue, there's power in our spoken word. And so when I say my goals, I'm going to say them with that positive confidence as if they've already happened. But I am going to buy a house this year. I am going to finish school this year. And I am going to devote myself to this work, to the ministry, to making content, to doing whatever it is that I can do to inspire, uplift, and encourage other people.
That's good. 'Cause I know you. I've been watching different videos of story times and stuff, and people have been touching other people, helping them to recover from traumatic experiences. So it's good to do. It
It's a
help a lot of
beautiful
people.
thing. Yeah, because we're all connected. Like when you think about it, what do they say? It's like 6 degrees of separation or something. Like we all know each other through like 6 people. And can you just imagine having that connection of those people in your closest circle being whole, being happy, being healthy, being their best version of themselves? It would certainly almost inspire like a chain reaction for everyone to just get to that mental, physical, and emotional space of leveling up.
A lot of people scared to take that journey, though.
It's not for the faint of heart, I'm gonna tell you that much.
Yeah.
And I'm just inspired by what you just said. I don't mean to go off on a tangent, but it just makes me think that you're exactly right. Not everyone is. So for those who have taken the journey, it's almost our responsibility to share what we learn on the journey with everyone around us, because it's not something that everyone is going to do. But there are valuable, you know, jewels of wisdom on the road that if one just knew it and could share with a lot of people, it's all worth the journey.
Yeah. The fear of them is more so they fear to be vulnerable
Yes,
with themselves.
you have to admit being vulnerable is scary, is it not?
It is.
Yeah, it's to put yourself out there. Like you don't know, you have to trust that person's intentions, and even people's intentions. They could have the intention on doing something good but then don't do it. So I can't even trust someone's intentions. I have to be able to trust that person. But that's what's scary. That's what's scary. Trusting other people is scary. Being open to other people and what they might be able to do to you, that's scary. Yes. But God, I'm always gonna, but God, because it's like I put my trust in God. It's like I lean not on my own understanding. I'm trusting Him, that He's made a way for me, that He's working all things together for my good, that there is nothing that's going to remove me from His love and from the good plans that He has prepared for me. It's if I get caught up in putting my trust in people, because we're human and we make mistakes, there's always that opportunity to be disappointed. But yeah, just not allowing myself to be disappointed by human error, and instead putting my hope and trust in the word of God, which is infallible, is really something that's kept me throughout this process of just transformation and being healed.
Because God look at the good in us more than he look at the badness in us.
You're about to make me emotional because it's like somehow I had gotten trained in my mind, and I'm sure it's through my past experiences, but to only look at the bad in me and to replay the bad in me. And when I think about like the mind of Christ, and or even just that positive space of being affirmative instead of negative, it's just so powerful because we really do have the ability to attract those things, those good things, our hopes, our dreams, our deepest desires, to attract those things to us. It's all the power of the mind. Like you can literally control a person by just controlling their mind. Their whole physical body is controlled by the mind. And so if we can free our minds, liberate our minds, open them up to that idea of just having our wildest imaginations, having seeing miracles. I believe in miracles. I believe they still happen. I believe this is a miracle right here, right now. You and I connecting in this moment. It's nothing that I could have orchestrated, and it just came together. But that's how God works. And when you think positively about yourself and put yourself out there.
Yeah. We all want human contact, communication, and etc.
Yeah,
Just positive vibes.
that's right. Good vibes only.
When exactly did you say you started your own journey?
Um, if I had to be specific, I would say 2019 is when I received a download from God, like that He loved me personally and individually. And I have grown up in the church, so I was always at, Wednesday night youth group and at church on Sundays and all of that. But I was just going through the motions. I was just doing those things because like I had to go to church with my parents. It wasn't an option to stay home. But as an adult, I didn't really put that lifestyle into practice. I didn't pray every day. I wasn't reading my Bible. I wasn't going to church at all. Um, in 2018, I was ending, or I had ended in the process of ending, an extremely toxic relationship with the father of my children. It was a battle every day, more of the physical, verbal, and emotional abuse that I was used to growing up as a child. I thought love was supposed to be painful, because that's what I had experienced growing up. But that relationship ended, and it ended in such a way where he took my children, he took our children from me, out of my care where they were. It caused such a chain reaction. I mean, I stayed without my children for over 2 years. I just got them back in December. So literally almost 3 years. And the pandemic definitely contributed to the time that it took to get them back. But throughout that whole process, and so that's been like a 3-year thing. Um, but it's like the catalyst to that event was receiving that download that God loved me individually and specifically. And I knew it in my heart, like I know that my name is Christine, and it moved me to being confident enough to end what was clearly a toxic situation that I didn't have the confidence before, because I didn't know that I was loved, that I was valuable, that I was appreciated, that I could look at myself in a positive light, and that I didn't always have to look at myself as a bad thing. Um, so it's been about a 3-year journey. So I've had like 30 years of practice talking negatively and thinking negatively and allowing negative thoughts and negative words to just sit in my head and in my heart. 30 years of practice on that, and now 3 years of practice on not doing that, and thinking positively and attracting those good things to me. And it really is, like you said, just allowing myself to look at me like how God would look at me without those blemishes and spots of imperfection.
Were you able to read the whole Bible since you started your own journey?
I have not read the whole Bible. I'm going to keep it a buck. No, I haven't. I've read the whole New Testament. Um, and I read that from back to back. The places where I find myself getting caught up is like in Exodus, where we're talking a lot about the genealogy and this person begat this person, and then this person was next, and we're just going on and on with the lineage. That I just couldn't get through that. So after I read, well, not yet, I haven't got through it yet. After I read the New Testament, which I still read very regularly, I like to go into the prophets. So like Isaiah or Jeremiah, um, Ezekiel. I really do like Psalms and Proverbs, Song of Solomon. But I'm telling you, it's like those Judges and Lamentations and some parts of, like I said, Deuteronomy and Exodus that really trip me up. So I have them earmarked in my Bible. I tell myself I'm going to get back to them, and I am, but I haven't tackled it yet.
That's fine. Because I'm on my second round reading the whole Bible.
Are
I,
you?
yeah, it took a while, but I read it though. I'm in the New Testament, the Greek scriptures they call them. I'm in
Yes.
that part now.
So do you read from like Genesis to like straight through?
Yes,
Oh my goodness.
because the Hebrew scriptures they say is longer
Really? Yeah.
than the Greek scriptures.
Yeah. I want to get myself a Bible that has the Hebrew and the Greek and the English, because I feel like it's one of those things that, it's all about how we interpret the word, is how we're able to like understand it and apply it. And so it's very helpful to be able to see the original text to get a better, I don't know, better context on those practical application methods for me.
I know a lot of people say they don't understand the Bible.
You do. Yeah. Yeah. I really found starting in the New Testament helped. That's what helped for me. Um, it helped because I had maybe an inaccurate depiction of God, if that makes sense. The Old Testament, he's a very fiery God, isn't he? He's a jealous God, and he's an angry God, and he's this and he's that, and like we're supposed to fear him.
Yeah, a respectable fear, because he
That's a
requires
reverent fear, right? Which is to shun evil and do good.
and idols.
That's right. That's right. It just, I was able to see God as love, because God is love. I was able to see God as love by reading the New Testament. And then once I had that, what was for me like a foundational understanding, then I was able to go back. And when I read the Old Testament, it makes more sense, where I'm able to connect better with the text as opposed to reading it from a perspective I just didn't understand how to relate.
Yeah, I understand. Cause for a long, like I grew up like going to we used to go to church, but then around when I was like 6, we became Jehovah Witnesses. So we studied the Bible like in depth. Like
Mm-hmm.
is a lifestyle. It mean it
Yeah,
never get old.
right.
We do constantly.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite scriptures from the Bible is Psalms 55:22. Cause it say, throw your burden on Jehovah and he will sustain you. Never will he allow the righteous one to fall.
Mm. Yeah.
because we know that we this wicked world we live in, we get tested by different things and people because we all sinners. So people
Right.
going to do stuff to get under our skin or try to hurt us and things like that. So we know that we can always go to him no matter what. No matter what we're going through, we can always go to him to get that positive energy that we need, that
Hmm.
comfort that
Hmm.
nobody else probably can give us.
That's right. What I'm finding is that we want to stay away though from him. Like you know how in the beginning when Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge, then they hid.
They went
And
against his authority.
right. And so they were ashamed of their going against his authority and they physically hid their presence from him. They used to walk with him in the cool breeze of the day. They went from walking with him to hiding from him. And it's like, that's what I find happens in real life too. When we make a mistake, when we mess up, when we miss the mark, when we don't follow through, it's like we allow that to keep us from the fellowship with God. We allow it to keep it from our walk with him. And we want to go hide from him because it's like I did that wrong thing. I knew I shouldn't have. So now I'm not going to now I can't say my prayers anymore. You know, now I can't go to church anymore. Now it's almost as if we allow the things that we do to keep us from God's presence when God really just wants us to come into his presence and he will make all of those things clean. It's like we want to do it ourselves and then come to him. And he's like, that's what that just touched my spirit when you said the righteousness, because we want to make our own righteousness. We want to make our own selves righteous by what we're doing. But if it's something that allows us to be kept outside of his presence and communion, then it's not his righteousness because his righteousness is the righteousness of God in Christ. It's that light yoke and easy burden that we don't have to work for. We just have because he loves us and he shows us his grace and mercy.
That all we gotta do is follow his commandments and directions.
That's right. The U Version Bible passage for today was John 15, which is one of my favorites. If you abide in me, you shall bear much fruit. And it's just so because apart from him we can do nothing, but abiding in him, communing, fellowship, it's a consistent thing. Like you said, it's a lifestyle. It's not just a checklist on Sundays.
A lot of people think it's a checklist. They try to
It's
they try to do what they doing all week, then go to church Sunday, even though he do forgive them. But because I was thinking about that the other day. I said these Israelites, they saw all these miracles and things like that, and they kept doing this crazy stuff. I was like, yo,
I can empathize though with the Israelites. Like I really can. But man, I they just couldn't get out of the mindset, the lack mindset, the slave mentality that kept them bound. I read something the other day that talked about how the Israelites rejected God's authority in man when they rejected Aaron. And so the budded staff that he carried, that was placed in the Ark of the Covenant, along with the manna, the daily bread from heaven, along with the tablets that were inscribed, the Ten Commandments. So it's the Ten Commandments, the daily bread, and the budded staff that are in the Ark of the Covenant under the mercy seat. And that just hit me. We rebel against God in so many ways. We we don't just want the daily bread, we want the meat too. Like, we can't just make it off the bread, like that's a miracle in itself, but I want some meat too. Like, so then we get that, and then he sends us, he sends us the things that we need, and we don't even want them. Like, they're not good enough. Almost, it's like we want to grumble and complain, and but he still has love and mercy. Like, it's still nothing but love, nothing but grace, nothing but mercy. And it's just that really almost moves me to tears every time I think about it, because it's like he didn't die for our sins while we were perfect, because no one's perfect, right? Like, we have this redemption even when we are dead in our trespasses, even when we're still living the life of sin. He's still forgiven us in that moment. And it's just so beautiful. It's such a blessing. Even in our rebellion, he still covers us with his grace and his mercy and his love. Um, because he wants us to know that we're prosperous, we're free, we're abundant, that we're not slaves, just, trapped in darkness. But we rebel against it because it's what we know.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the sin that's in us.
Because it says it's not, what is it? That's not me that sins, but it's the sin alive in my body. Because I
Yeah,
do
Paul was
what
saying,
I don't want to do. And yeah,
mhm,
what I want to do, I don't do.
it got to be a constant effort.
Right. Yeah. I'm reading this book. I'm leading a small group at my church called Celebration of Discipline. I'm not sure if you've ever read, I actually have it right here, the book by Richard Foster. He's a theologian and author. I would recommend it. I really do like it. It has some inward and external and corporate disciplines that you can practice that just keep you in that space of staying attentive and in tune with and intentional on fostering that relationship. Meditation and fasting, I'm sorry, meditation and prayer is what I just read. And then fasting is the chapter I'm on now. There's also like the discipline of solitude, the discipline of worship, the discipline of celebration. There are quite a few, but definitely, it definitely helps with those practical approaches on how you can really um, get that connection to be something that's not legalistic, not ritualistic, but how you can really get your internal heart position invested in that connection regularly. So you're not just going through the motions.
Yeah, I know that's why a lot, or like you said earlier, affirmations. A lot of people do affirmations, just in general, like every day and things like that, just to get themselves prepared for whatever they need to do for that day or that evening or that night. So
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot that I mean, just like 5, 10 minutes a day really can change your life, can change your whole mindset. And with a changed mind, I mean, there's just limitless potential.
yes, it is. So yeah, your children, they go to church with you.
They do. They do go to church with me. And I'm laughing because I'm just visualizing us in church yesterday. Like, I always envisioned my children to be like the quiet ones, with their hands neatly folded in their laps and their legs crossed. But no, no, they're a little bit loud and rambunctious. But my church is very, I think, graceful in how they deal with children. So noises during the service aren't, looked at like a horrible, disturbance to the environment. They're very flexible with that.
Yeah, because in one of his, I forgot what it might have been in all the books. Well, the first Matthew's, Mark, Luke, and John, where he said that we all should be like little children to
Yeah.
to receive the word like little children. So
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that's it. Because their minds haven't been like tainted with the darkness of reality, if that doesn't sound too dark and sad. But they still have the hope, the imagination. That it hasn't been sucked out of them by life's experiences and circumstances yet. So their minds are free. Their minds are like sponges. That's what they tell us parents. Like the first 7 years are the most impactful to a child because that's when the child's brain is developing the most. Um, and that's just it just yeah, we have to have that, be willing to be vulnerable to thinking about things a new way, thinking about yourself a new way, looking at yourself a new way, telling yourself new things, like be open to that. Someone was telling me about an experiment where they put, what happened? They put this rat, the scientist held the rat in his hands and he put it in the water, and the rat was like scurrying for his life, trying not to drown. Eventually, the scientist, I believe it was like after 5 minutes or so, he let go of the rat. The rat sank to the bottom and he died. He took another rat, and before he put the rat in the water, he like held him, and the rat was tiring himself out trying to get out of the scientist's hands, that when the scientist put the rat in the water, the second rat immediately sunk to the bottom and drowned. And the person was making the point that we become conditioned based on our experiences not to give up, not to try, because they had a third rat who just watched these other two rats go through that trauma. And this third rat didn't even go through any of the trauma. But when he got put into the water by the scientist, he did not put up much of an opposition and just sank to the bottom and drowned. And it's like we condition ourselves. We've been conditioned by how we, grow up, the things that we've experienced. And it's like, if any of those rats just knew all you had to do is swim, like
you
they
still
didn't,
be
they would
alive.
just, yeah, yeah. But and we're just the same way, we see everyone in our family turn out that way or experience that issue or whatever. And then we just go right along with the flow, not even realizing we have a choice, like to change our mind about our situation, how the outcome is going to be, change our mind about ourselves, that we deserve that outcome. It just it's a process.
Yeah,
And it starts with a catalyst. It starts with some spark of change. And that's just what I'm passionate to be myself, and hoping that that inspires people to be their selves. We don't have to just succumb to what we think we know about what we should. We have the authority, the God-given authority and the power and the good judgment and the love in our hearts to take action, to inspire others to be their best selves.
yeah. You gotta take that one step and start with one step at a time.
That's right. The leap of faith.
Can you tell the audience where they can find you at?
Absolutely. You can find me on YouTube, the Anointed Mouthpiece. You can also visit my website, www.theanointedmouthpiece.com. I'm in the vein of transparency. I like being transparent. The website is under construction and it will be live by the month's end. So you can stay tuned for regularly scheduled video messages of encouragement, devotional subscriptions, and other services that will be offered there as well.
Well, I thank you for coming to do the interview. It was good having this conversation with you.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and I really do appreciate your time.
Like,
Thank you for reaching out.
you're welcome.
Take care. Have a
You,
good night.
you too.
Thank you.